can create an earned pathway to citizenship and secure our border.
So that clip was really telling of the Democrats' actual plan on immigration, which is first step, flood the country with millions of illegals, which is, we think about 30 million in the country right now. And then you say, okay, well, there's a lot here, so we'll make a deal. And the deal is, Republicans, we'll lock down the border. We won't let any more in, but you make all 30 million people citizens. And I think a lot of the Republicans would jump at the bit to do that because they're just stupid and terrible. And so what that would accomplish is the country would be eternally blue. It would destroy the demographics. 30 million people immediately being able to vote. There'd be all Democrat elections all the time. Republicans would never win, ever. And so the country would just be a singular party system. It'd be a disaster. Complete destruction of any conservative ideals, any conservative rights, any conservative voices. And that even just assuming that they only stop at 30 million, they'll bring in more. They'll always bring in more people and make them citizens. It's a policy that has been done in the past and it did not work. It's a complete failure. We don't need more people in this country. We don't at all. And if we want a growing populace, if we want that, encourage people to have children. Bringing in immigrants creates disastrous problems for the country. Not just illegals, but legal immigrants too. We bring in so many illegal immigrants, it's a disaster. The housing prices go up. The wages go down because you have flooded with extra supply, so the demand for workers goes down, so you don't have to pay them as much. You don't have to give them as many benefits. The housing crisis we already have in this country is going to explode if we bring in even more people. It's a complete disaster across the board. It's not going to work. And that's why it's when I look at Trump's policies on immigration, I'm talking about, oh, well, we don't like illegal immigrants, but we love legal immigrants. It's that is the same problem. It's the exact same problem. You're bringing in people and they're flooding the market, and it's going to create total economic disaster and cultural disaster because they're not Americans. They don't want to be Americans. They want the benefits of America, but they'll never assimilate. And so the American culture, which is already on its last breath, as a country, culturally, we're just dying. We have no nationalism, no pride, no patriotism. The military, nobody wants to serve. I'm not saying they should, because there are definitely a lot of reasons you shouldn't right now, but that's kind of the point. The country's in such a state where people don't care about the country. They care about themselves, and they have every right to. This is a time and place where people should care about themselves because the country doesn't care about them. So I'm not saying that they should just, pick themselves up by their bootstraps and blindly follow the government. No, it's a problem when the people of a country don't believe in their government. That's a huge problem. And they shouldn't right now. There's no reason to. But it's a huge problem for a country when they don't care about the borders, when they don't care about the policies, when they don't care about the culture. And when you the biggest example of a government and the people not caring about any of those things is when you flood it with immigrants from all over the world, which come here, don't assimilate, don't speak the language, destroy the economy, destroy the culture, destroy the trust. We know in cross-cultural communities, the trust is down, the charity goes down, the cleanliness goes down. It's just people don't care about a system in which it's flooded with diversity. They really don't. We know that from every study, is that people are tribalistic, and they'll take care of their tribe when it comes to their tribe and everything involved in that. They'll clean the streets. They'll keep the bathrooms nice and tidy. They will help each other out. They'll give to charity. But when you flood it with people who don't care about you, don't share the same ideals as you, you just stop caring because it's going to be a disaster anyways, and you'll never get along. And so that's why this country is becoming even more divided, especially the more demographically you change it. And adding 30 million people at minimum to that is going to completely destroy this country, completely fracture it. It would be totally beyond repair because you can't fix something after the demographics are gone. The demographics are destiny. You can't just turn that around. Same with a different case, but same principle. You're looking at countries like China, where they're going to have a huge demographic crisis because they don't have enough, babies, because because they don't have enough people, because they killed all the women for a long period of time. They're going to have a complete demographic collapse. You look at places like Japan and South Korea, they're not having children. They're going to have a complete demographic collapse. And no amount of policy is going to fix that. So even if you're a staunch Republican and you believe that Republican ideals could fix the country under any conditions, even if somehow by a Hail Mary miracle you were able to win back power after they flood the country with 30 million people, make them all citizens, the demographic issues are still there. And you can't just wish those away. You can't fix them. You can't fix a problem like that, like complete cultural divide. And so the country will be completely doomed if you let in all these people. And I think Republicans would go for it. That's what I'm scared of. I'm very worried about that. I'd not heard this proposed path to citizenship before, because before they just said like the illegals weren't a problem, but it seems maybe this was their plan the whole time. Flood it with so many people that it's impossible to ever lose ever again, and then just make them all citizens. And I can see it happening. I could really, really see it happening. I could even see Trump compromising on it. Well, maybe not 30 million, but we'll make 10 million of them legal citizens. Because for some reason, Trump loves immigrants now, like legal immigrants, which we shouldn't. Like take a couple, the best of the best, but we don't do that. We just, America has its borders open completely, illegally and legally. We just bring in way more people than we need, and it's creating massive problems for the country, for the workforce, for the people to have any belief in the future of the country. So flooding the country with citizens, legal or illegal, doesn't change anything. And Republicans just they foam at the mouth. They just love it. They love legal immigration. They love it. They hate the American people. They don't care about America first, right? America first means putting Americans first, not putting everybody else in the world before Americans, and giving them all these benefits and perks, and treating them as if they're like inherently equal. Like, you can just come to this country and we'll take anybody, because we just need people. It's such a lie. It's a terrible lie, and it's going to lead to total disaster. But I can see both sides agreeing on this, making some sort of compromise. And as we know, whenever government makes compromises, the only people who actually lose are the American people. Every time the Republicans compromise with the Democrats, life gets worse. Like, we should not compromise on something like this. But they will. They probably will. Because the Republicans are a bunch of losers, really. They care more about their appearance of like, oh no, I'm not racist. I don't like illegal immigrants, but I love legal immigrants. And if we just make them all legal, it'll be great. And they have strong conservative values. They have strong family values, and they'll all vote Republican. They don't. We know they don't. You look at the statistics, they don't. And so, Republicans they pray for their own ruin. I believe the Democrat ideals are disastrous and often inherently evil. But the Republicans they just roll over and love it. They may even be worse, because at least the Democrats are upfront about how evil they are, comically villainous. But the Republicans they could not be more doormats if they tried. They just love being stepped on by the Democrats. The Democrat is never willing to meet in the middle, and so the Republican will always walk halfway to them. Democrats will say, well, let's compromise. And the Republicans will say, oh, I'd love to compromise because it makes me feel good. It makes me look good because I'm a strong principled conservative, which means we meet in the middle. So, instead of 30 million legal immigrants, let's do 15 million because I'm strong and principled. So I got to be tough. It's what a disaster. What a joke. What a joke the Republican Party has become. And what a terrible policy this would be. Total disaster of the United States of America as we know it. The country won't last 10 years if that happens. I don't believe it. We've seen what's happening in England. England's on the brink of a civil war, a real nasty civil war. So is every other European country, especially Ireland and France. That's the future we're headed to. Total disaster, total demographic war, complete collapse of culture, just the rotting of a country. You're seeing it in real time. England's about 10 years ahead of us. If we do this policy, it would accelerate that immensely. And that's where America will be. If you want that, don't. It's stupid. I can't understand how anybody could fathom that this is a good idea when they actually think about it for 2 seconds. And they're not just like, oh, I just love people. I love giving people a chance. It's like, you don't understand how this works at all. But people will go for it. The Democrats will say it, and they'll probably do it because it'll win them every election ever. And everybody will feel good voting for it. And the Republicans will be so happy that they met in the middle. You know, as they're being kicked out of the country, as they're being rounded up for their hate speech, they'll be down on their knees and they'll be saying, well, at least I was a good person. At least I compromised, the strong principled conservative, right? As the old joke goes. Isn't it great, guys? I'm a strong principled conservative. And then somebody says, oh, very nice. Now, please face the wall. Because that's what's going to happen is Republicans are going to get put against a wall and bad things are going to happen to them. But at least they can feel good while it's happening, right? As everything around them burns, they can say, this is fine. So on that note, that's my opinion on this. I think it's going to be a talking point now on both sides of the aisle. And I just hope there's enough real conservatives, not Republicans, screw Republicans, real conservatives who are opposed to this. So that's my opinion on this. I appreciate everybody who watched, and if you enjoy my content, leave a like, subscribe. I really appreciate it. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.